Okay, so like I said, it's February. All of March, we have been doing a little series on questions. Some are of our most popular questions asked by customers and students, and we've been answering them. And then we have sprinkled in some fun questions as well.
I heard that you almost said trick questions.
No, I was gonna say trickled, but I meant
Oh,
sprinkled.
okay.
You know, no,
Ah,
no trick questions, not yet
okay.
anyway.
That's what I
Uh oh,
don't know.
uh oh.
All right.
Um,
Just be prepared.
you're welcome, Arlene. She says thank you for answering my question last week. Um, so we are continuing with that. It's I think been very helpful to a lot of you to either get your questions asked or learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been fun for us as well. And we had a question come in. It requires a little kind of like more explanation, a little demo that Janet has set up for you guys. And it came from Mary Berg, one of our favorite Marys. We have many
Yes.
favorite Marys, and Mary is wonder. Oh, I have the picture. Mary was asking, I'd love to know how to bless you. I'd love to know how to match horizontal stripes so stripes match on shoulders and arms that line up in the front. So if you're doing a striped shirt, you'll often see sometimes you can make the stripes go across and at your your arm side they match up and the stripes will keep going across. Whereas other times the stripes will start going the other way or not match up. You'll have like a white stripe and a blue stripe or
Can we
whatever.
show that picture?
Well, I have a lot of I can try. So
Yeah, just do a close up.
I did circle your name there.
Because one says this and not that.
Yes, let's see if we can get this. As you can see, the pinkish colored one, my thing is backwards, right
There.
here.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the stripes go right across and line up on the shirt and the sleeves, opposed to the blue where the white stripe at the top has the orange next to it, the orange has the white, etc., etc. So she's wondering how to make it look a little bit more professional and nice by having those stripes line up, and Janet has an explanation for that.
Yeah. It's obviously takes a little thought, and it's a little more work than just slapping the pattern on and measuring the straight of grain and cutting it out. But the end results are so much more pleasing. And this is sometimes why we sew, because we can go to any number of local department stores and purchase a knit shirt like she showed for 20 bucks. But for 20 bucks, chances are those stripes aren't going to match straight across. And sometimes you just want that look. And if you're going to make it yourself, why not have that look? You aren't subject to whatever's on the rack at J.C. Penney's or Kohl's or Macy's. You can do what you want. So, and whenever I do, I want that little extra effort put in. And maybe no one I know ever notices it, but I do. And
What's I don't want to say what's not disappointing, but it's one of those things where if the stripes match up, people may never notice. But if they don't match up, people are more likely to notice. So it's almost like you don't get the kudos for them matching up all the time unless your sewing friends will notice.
yeah.
But people will definitely notice a lot of the times if they're not matching up. It's kind of like
And what the layperson will notice is how nice it looks, but they won't know why.
right.
So they'll say, "Oh, I love that striped top. Where did you get it?" Blah blah blah. But they won't say, "Oh, I love it because the stripes all match so perfectly." They just know it's pleasing to the eye on the body, and it's got a little extra panache because of it. I'm going to go over here to my paper patterns, and I'm going to give you some of the basic details you'll need if you want to match at the arm side.
You going to the corner or all the way to the other
I'll
side?
start right here,
Okay.
and I can move this over here so I can just stay here. Oops, let me shut this. All right, so when we talked about matching plaids, and I've done that 2 or 3 times for you, and what I've always talked about is
Sorry.
that kind of hurt.
Rock and roll.
Is that because our sleeve cap of our sleeve, between these notches here, so you'll recognize the single notch for underarm in the front and the double notch for close to the underarm in the back, and then the top notch right here. So between these notches, there's going to be some ease. And between this notch and this notch, there's ease. What does that mean? Okay, so what that means is there is more fabric on the sleeve cap than there is in the arm side. So let's just say that there is a 1/2 inch, which is pretty close to standard, 3/4 to a 1/2 inch in a flatter cap sleeve. So we're kind of talking about knits here, so they wouldn't have a lot of ease in them. They'd have a little bit. But in order to make sure that when I match everything, that ease isn't going to move that stripe one way or the other, I've got to take all the ease out of the sleeve cap. So in other words, if I measured from the double notch to the top notch, this seam would measure the exact same distance as if I measured the arm side where it's going to go. Okay, so what I've done here is I've traced off a pattern, a sleeve pattern. Can I see it if I have it down here?
I can make that.
Okay, that's probably better if it's laying flat. So we have drawn in the seam allowance, and this particular pattern is 3/8, and that's important. You're either going to measure this line and then measure it on the arm side, or you're going to walk the sleeve. And we've got a video for you in walking the sleeve to find out how much extra ease is in the sleeve cap compared to the armhole or the arm side. And that's all there is to it. Ease means there's more fabric in one piece than in the other. So what I've done is I've got to segment this off. So I folded it in half. And you'll see these don't exactly line up, but we've got a nice half here. And we're going to fold it in half again. So we've got it quartered, or not quartered. Or how many pieces? 1, 2, 3.
Quartered.
Yeah, quartered.
Half and half.
All right. So if we just wanted to take some general ease out, we would slash and spread all 3 of these lines that we made when we folded it.
The green lines.
No, they are not green lines.
Green,
sorry. The green lines. Yes, that's why I use different colors. Okay. So, when you slash and spread, and this is all in, everything that I'm showing you here is all in Patternmaking Made Easy by Connie Crawford. That's the pattern making book that we own and sell. So, when you slash and spread, you slash all the way within a hair of the end of the line. So we don't want to go all the way through, but we do want to go almost all the way through. And if you go too far, you can always tape it back together. But you want that so that you can move this. See, it creates a joint. Now let's say that we had in the back a 1/2 inch of ease, which would be a lot, but let's just say we did. We would move this up here. You know what I didn't? Oh, I'll just put a weight on it. Scotch tape that. Now let's say that we had 3/8 of an inch in the front. So we're going to overlap that 3/8 of an inch. Stay there. All right, so now we're going to take this, and again, the video on this was just uploaded. So it'll be the first video you'll find on our YouTube channel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of paper behind this, and I'm going to retrace this. And you can use something like this to get the nice curve that you want. And it also does the reverse. So for that curve, and then for this curve. And now we've taken out absolutely every centimeter there is of ease in that sleeve cap. So now the sleeve cap fits the arm side 1 to 1. So, got some striped, woven stripe here. I didn't have any knit, but it really doesn't matter because we're just going to discover the concept of how to place this to cut it out. So, do this on the back, yes. All right. So, here's what we're going to do is, of course, both of these pieces go on the fold. So right now they're not on the fold. So don't call me out on that. But what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to line this up so that everything here is lining up. Okay? So it's really important that these arm sides are going to match because the sleeve has to match the arm side, right? Then it's a matter of finding where this notch. All right, so one of my favorite things is I might move this. So I might move this right up to here so you can see where that double notch is. It's pretty much coming right off of these 3 dark lines. So now I can put the double notch of my sleeve when I go to cut my sleeve out so that it is doing exactly the same thing. Let me just move it down here so you can see it. So there's my double notch. And there's my 3 lines, just like the double notch over there. And then you should be able to do the same thing with the single notch on the front. So once you have these cut out, you find out where those notches are and confirm that they're in the same place on the sleeve. What I would do is I would cut the front and the backs out first. Make sure they're lined up. Now, if you're doing a stripe, I would not cut them on the fold. And I've showed you before, and it's really simple, is you just make a mirror image of this piece and tape them together so that you're cutting everything on the flat. And the reason we want to cut everything on the flat, especially with a horizontal stripe or plaid, is because when that fabric is folded, it can be nearly impossible, if not impossible, to confirm that the stripes on the right side of the shirt are going to be in the same place as the left side because it's folded. And any little thing can happen and you can't see it. You can pin it, you can hope it stayed in place, but to be absolutely 100% sure and to save yourself aggravation and fabric, turn these 2 pieces into whole pieces.
Louise is asking, what about the grain line?
You want to maintain the grain line. Absolutely. But if you have maintained it and kept everything straight and clean here, it won't be difficult to cut this one out in the same manner and have the stripe go all the way around. So this will make sure the stripe goes all the way around to the side seams. And because we've lined all this up, now we should be able to cut, of course this is backwards, we should be able to cut the sleeve out so it matches here and here. And the only reason we can do that is because we took all the ease out. Remember, if there was ease in here, this would shift between notches, which would be a notch up here and a notch here. This is where the ease is. So that was...
Can you do that again?
Mm-hmm. The ease is between this notch and the seam allowance. So it's going to stay steady on the armhole, but on the sleeve, you can see there's the double notch, and you want to get that to match. But this is where the extra ease is until we take it out. And when we take it out, then it will match perfectly. And the same thing will happen back here. So get these to line directly up across from each other, and then you can lay this out and get the same effect. And there it is, right there. There's those 3 lines, and there's those 3 lines. And all we want to do is make sure it's on the straight of grain, which I can use again because this is a yarn dyed. Remember, yarn dyed means that every stripe is the grain line. And there you go. And that sleeve will fit this shirt, and all the stripes will match up.
All right, let me see if we have any questions.
I got this sleeve going the wrong way, though. Sleeve needed to go this way. But same. Same. There we go. I didn't want to confuse you, so I had the sleeve going the wrong way. Excuse me.
The notches need to match at the seam line, not the edge of the pattern.
That's correct.
It's a statement.
Yes. The notches will match at the seam line. And when you go and look at the video on how to walk the sleeve, you will notice, where'd that other sleeve go?
Right here.
That I have drawn in the stitch line. So then you can, and there's the notch. So this is where the actual seam, so when we walk our sleeve, and again, watch that video. I've done it 2 or 3 times on here, so I didn't want to do it again, but I wanted to call it out. So Brenda uploaded it to the YouTube channel so that you'd be able to see it. But you're going to mark the seam line all the way around the sleeve, and then you're going to do the same thing, mark it all the way around the arm side. And the way I do it, and there's lots of different ways and different tools, but just with the least amount of tools, is just measure from the raw edge and make a line and just keep moving around the curve. And you can see how I did it. I dashed that line just by moving around the curve and always measuring 3/8. And you'll get the same contour, and then you'll know exactly where that seam line is. And if you do it on the arm side and on the sleeve, then you can either measure the distance between the two, and the difference is the ease, or you can walk the sleeve between the two, and the difference again is the ease.
Okay, I did put in the comments the link to the YouTube video to make it easy, but if you want to go back and look later, it's just Islander Sewing Systems on YouTube. Jillian is wondering, wouldn't removing the ease for a woven shirt cause the sleeve to be too tight on the shoulder?
No. See, there's the distance from here to here is still the same. It's still the same. You can take all the ease out, and whenever you see a fine made garment that all of it matches, that's the only way that it can be. Now, a very astute pattern maker by the name of Kathleen Fasanella wrote an article a few years ago, and she showed, and I think it was a Burberry coat, several $1,000s, and it was plaid, and it everywhere matched perfectly. And she explained the only way you can do that is by taking the ease out of the sleeve. So that's the only way you can do it. Otherwise, it's just not going to. That ease is going to make some stripe or check or whatever you're trying to match move to one side, up or down.
And by saying that, Louise has the question, if you are sewing a plaid, how would you match the shoulder seams, both the shoulders and the sleeves and side seams all together?
Well, it's like having a puzzle, and you just work your way through it. So you start out with making sure that this is, so the front and the back, you've got to start here. Once these are symmetrical, then you work your way around. Now, you add a yoke to this, and you've added all kinds of complications. And with a yoke, if you're going to match all the stripes or all the plaid, then why do you have a yoke? Because a yoke, in a lot of cases, in today's fit anyway, really doesn't add or subtract from the fit. It just gives you a different look. It breaks up the design. So I wouldn't do it with a yoke. I do it with a full front, a full back, and a sleeve, and experiment a little bit. Another thing you can do is just like when we did the pocket for the Islander shirt and how we put the pocket piece on the shirt and we drew around it the motif. It's like it was a palm tree. We drew around the palm tree so we knew right how to cut out that pattern piece. You could do the same thing on here. You could transfer some of these stripes right onto the pattern piece so that you could line them up and be absolutely positive. So like here, if I wanted to, I would say, okay, here's the dark line, here's a dark line, and I will know that that's those two lines. Or here's these three. I could draw these out on my pattern piece. And then know that I have to line this one up with the same thing. So this one has to be about like that. And then they will line up when I sew them together. And you could take that all the way across if you needed to, whatever. Use whatever works for your brain. Because what works for me, like walking the sleeve, maybe it works better for you to measure the two seam allowances. But in either case, you're going to end up with the same results. Just always do it more than once. We've learned that here in pattern making. When I measure the ease on a sleeve cap and then compare it to an arm side, I don't tell Brenda what my numbers are. I ask her to do the same thing. And if we both have the same number, then we're accurate. If we don't, then we both go and remeasure again. Because you want to, same as a carpenter, measure twice, cut once. Measure 3 or 4 times, then cut once. Whatever works. More questions? No? Okay. Very good. All right. Well, that is it. And again, that how to reduce or take the ease out. Sometimes we just want to take a little bit of ease out. And that's usually when you're trying to put a sleeve in and you just can't get it in. It's just going to have a little tuck or pucker here or there. Maybe it's the properties of the fabric you're using. Some fabrics will ease a lot easier than others, and maybe you've chosen a fabric that's perfectly suitable for this jacket, but there's just a little too much ease in the sleeve. That way, you just take a little bit out. Maybe it's a 1/2 inch ease in the front, so you take it down to 1/4, just to give yourself less trouble putting that sleeve in. Okay, I'm going to go back over here, Jess.
Whoopsies. All right,
Whoopsie.
I move this camera. That's fine.
All right.
Okay, are there any other questions on that? Mary Berg did say thanks, and I did see somebody say thanks for asking that question, Mary. That was a good one. And again, I did put the link to the YouTube video that Janet talked about in the video, or in the demo, in the comment section.
It'll be right on the home page because it's the most recent one.
Yeah. So if anybody has any other questions, feel free to let us know on that and we can circle back to them. I also wanted to address, I saw the question come, we have gotten this question and then I saw it come through in the comments last week, but we ran out of time to go back to it. And I forget who was asking about, Sherry. Sherry Sparks was asking about certification. We do have, as you can see on our website, certified Islander sewing system instructors. And one of those that we were talking about last week was Robin,
Yeah.
who is Chuck's wife. and that came up in like the personal question, but that was fun. We did used to do a certification class. We have done it both in person and through online. And we haven't done it in a while, but we didn't have a good answer for you, and we still don't have a great answer for you on that question, but we are working on a new way to do the certification process if people are interested. So just keep an eye on Tuesdays at 2 and the newsletter. And when we have a good way of doing that, you will be the first to know.
We feel like it's coming soon, but Jessica won't let me promise anything until it's.
And you, if you've been here long enough, you know why.
So, I think we're on our way. Probably have an announcement in a couple weeks. Probably.
Maybe. Possibly. We'll see. Only time will tell.
We're working on it.
Mary Jackson asks, if I need the cap height, should I not take out the ease? Don't think you addressed that question.
Well, I know, Mary, you need the height. Now, I don't think it takes out that much height to do it this way. The other way I showed you more than 3 or 4 years ago seriously flattens the cap. It's a different pattern alteration, and I'm not particularly fond of it for that very reason, is that it shortens this right here. So, Mary, if you come across a position or anybody else that needs that height in the sleeve cap, and you'll know if it's too short because the sleeve starts to pull up, and it'll be shorter in here than here. So if you need that, and you are hellbound on having something that matches all the way across, you're going to have to do a muslin. And you do your muslin just to make sure that that sleeve's going to fit your body. And then maybe there are some minor adjustments you can do. I don't know all your fitting issues. I know that you have some and that you work on them. But sometimes you could lengthen it in here or slit it and lengthen it too. So there's different things that you can do to get rid of that ease but still have a little bit longer sleeve. But I not dealt with that problem. I'm not a pattern alterations expert. I never did custom work. I've always done ready to wear. So there are some things that I can give you some pretty good ideas on, but I haven't done them, so I can't give you personal experience.
All right, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one if it's easy enough. This is Jillian, I always have difficulty with more fitted tops because of my broad shoulders and back. To do the adjustment, do I do the broad back first, then the shoulders?
All right, so it sounds to me like you're a person who's used to doing a lot of pattern alterations. And again, I'm going to go back to I am not. I'm a pattern drafter. So I'm more likely to draft the pattern to fit than I am to alter the pattern after the fact. I think the best thing to work with is a sloper, because especially you're always going to have that broad back issue. What was her other one? Jillian had a broad back.
And broad shoulders.
Wide shoulders. So those are always going to exist for you. So if altering the pattern every time works for you, that's great. But I prefer either to pin fit the pattern, which we do that by making a muslin. And that's all in the Woven fitting series on how to do that to get everything to line up just right. And then you don't have to do all that. But if you've been dealing with this for years, you're probably very proficient at doing your pattern alterations. I guess you'd start with the broad back, yes. But again, no personal experience, because I would just start out with paper and a pen and a ruler. or the draping. You know, we can use our sloper patterns and then drape them onto your body and get the right fit.
All right. So I don't have any more questions, but feel free to put them in. Oh, she says, not really. I've just avoided fitted tops. LOL.
Yeah. So go and look at that Knit Fit series, or not the Knit Fit, but the woven one, and see if it makes sense to you, if it's something that you'd like to do. We've got kits for that. So Woven Bodice Fitting Kit, which will give you muslin, the sloper pattern, and Connie's DVD on how to use it. So you'll you need to stop avoiding it. If you want to have fitted tops, fitted bodices, and you're avoiding them just because of the fit issue, take a look at that. We can help you. We actually now on our we have a fitting link on our website, a fitting page
On the YouTube?
yeah, on the
On
website.
the website.
We've got a primer. It's a free download on what pictures to take and how to take them. So you're making your woven bodice and you've got a little wrinkle here or a little bubble there and you just don't know quite how to fix it. You follow this primer and take your pictures and send them to me online, and I'll send you back the critique on what you need to do to make those final adjustments to get a good fit. So we'll work with you hand in hand over the internet to make sure you get that good fit. And then once you have that good fit in a sloper, you can either just make any pattern you want out of that sloper, or you can take commercial patterns and superimpose your sloper over them to see where the adjustments need to be. And they can be, done very quickly then.
I'm putting the link to the fitting page.
Okay, yeah. The kit is on there. All the different slopers are on that page as well. And I think the DVDs are there on fitting. Everything we've got on fitting is on that page. So, and if you have any questions, just sing out in an email to either Brenda or I, and we'll be happy to answer you. Our email is islandersewing@comcast.net. Did you talk about the extra class that got opened up at the?
Oh, we were going to do that at the end, but if you want to do that now.
Oh, okay.
Since you've already said it.
Go ahead.
Oh. We talked last week about how Janet's teaching for the Puyallup
Sewing and
Stitchery Expo. We have always called it Puyallup. We talked about that too. Different people call it different things. But it's the Sewing and Stitchery Expo in Puyallup. And they had always have an in-person big expo. And of course, COVID has changed that a little bit. Last year they did virtual, and they had decided to do it again this year. And Janet's classes sold out. And we told you that they might add one, and you would be the first to know. And they did add another shirt class for Wednesday. So if you are interested in taking that class, there is a new one on their website.
sewexpo.com. And just so you know, the shirt making class is not making a shirt, but we are going to cover some of the key aspects of making a shirt. And we're going to do it physically, so it's a hands-on class. So we're going to be dealing with cuffs, sleeve plackets, collars, and the like, and interfacing and fabrics and all that kind of stuff. Just kind of a get yourself started on shirt making.
Yeah. If you've ever taken, because I know it can sound kind of weird to be taking a hands-on class virtually, but it's actually quite fun. Janet has it all set up to show you what to do. So you watch what she does, and then you do it on your own. There's time then for everybody to do it at home or wherever they're set up at. And then you can ask your questions or show what did I do wrong or whatever. And then we'll move on to the next step. So the only thing you're really missing is that actual physical being there together. But you get all the same instruction and you get to do it from the comfort of your own home. And if you don't want to turn on your camera, you don't even have to do that.
Right, right. Yeah, you don't have to show your face if you don't want to, but we do conduct it the same way we've done all of our in-person classes, which have always been extremely successful from the onset when Margaret started them, and that is we demonstrate and we make sure you get a clear view of what we're doing, and then you have the exact same materials, everything to the letter. We put a kit out for you, and then you do the exact exercise I've just done. Didn't understand it, I'll explain it. Want to see it again, I'll rewind it one time, and then we go on to the next concept. So it is a great online concept for classes, keeping it the same way we did in person so that you have the time to actually experience the technique.
Yes. And Sherry asked for the link again for the expo, so I put that in there. And there may be spaces left in the buttonhole class. Is that correct? There's not.
No, buttonhole
Got some
class.
bad info. Sorry, people.
But I'm sure if we hear from enough people that would like that class, we could do it independently here without a problem. We didn't want to cut into what's happening at Washington State University, but maybe in another month or two, we can do a buttonhole class for you. So let us know if you want the bound buttonhole class.
Okay. So Josie asks, is it like one of the sew-alongs that you've had here? Yes and no. For the sew-alongs that we do on Facebook, obviously that's live and Janet is just showing you what to do. So that does happen in the class, but this is more of a structured educational class, just like if you were to take an in-person class.
We film the steps ahead of time. So what we do is we're with you on the internet, but then we click into each one of the steps and it's already been videoed and perfected as opposed to trying to do it live, because when you do it live there's always little imperfections. So we have less imperfections by doing it, filming it ahead of time, each step ahead of time.
Then we only have to deal with the other maybe technical difficulties. Yeah. But last year, I have to say, Sew Expo was fabulous. They have a tech person in every class in case we are having issues or a student is having issues, and we have their contact information, and everything went really, really great. Yeah. They had it set up great.
They have a lot of experience. It's out of Washington State University, and it's people that have been training to be technicians. So they were great. They never faltered.
Janice says, wish there were sewing classes and other ways to learn more here in Oakland County. And in case you don't know, we live in Oakland County, and Janice does as well.
Yeah, and there used to be, well, first there wasn't, and then there was when we put on the American Sewing Expo for 23 years. We had lots of classes every year for you, but we don't do that anymore. And people are finding that there's a lot on the internet. And once you find a good teacher who presents the material well online, like we do, then you can learn from them. There are people, and you can go on all day long and you can find every level of presentations from excellent to very, very bad information on the internet. But you have to be the discerner of that information. Sometimes you've got to watch 3 bad YouTubes to find the one good one. And a lot of people, I know my husband just got hooked on YouTube when he found out we weren't telling him. Because once he found out you can learn anything you want on YouTube, he spends several hours a day now going through different videos. But it's a great way to learn, and we enjoy it. But you do have to be discerning. Like we talked about the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of bad information out there. A lot. And I almost want to say more bad than good. So sift through it, be patient. If it, like Jessica said last week, if it sounds like it's not right or that it won't work, chances are it's not right and it won't work.
And let's say, sometimes Janet's like, now listen, this is going to sound like this isn't going to work, but I promise you it will. But if they're telling you to do something that you don't see, we talked last week a lot about the dart in a t-shirt, the bust dart in a t-shirt. If it's something that it's like
stretching of the bias,
you don't ever see that in ready to wear, it's probably not the best way to go about it. Okay, so Josie asked which kit is it? I'm sure I already have it. So the kit Janet is talking about is specific to the class.
Which the Woven Bodice Kit?
The kit. Oh, I thought she asked this question when we were talking about the class that you're teaching for Puyallup.
Okay.
And, well, I guess Josie, clarify which kit are you asking about?
So the kit for the Puyallup class is purchased on our website under the link special events.
But it's specific for the class, not
only
anybody
people
can buy
who are
it. Yeah.
taking the class should buy the kit. As for the Woven Bodice Kit, in case that's what you're asking about, that's on the fitting page, and that you probably do have it, but it's muslin, sloper patterns, and I think there's 2 levels of that kit, and also DVDs. So it's everything you need to make sure that you get a good fit in a woven. And then we also have the knit fit kit, which includes some lightweight jersey knit and the sloper pattern for t-shirts. And if anyone's new, go and look at the community page here on Facebook, on our Facebook page. You're going to see some great success stories and a few comments about how well they got the shirt to fit or how much of a difference their sewing has improved using some of our techniques and products. So go in and you'll get a good idea from actual users of our patterns and things rather than just hearing it from us.
Okay. Questions.
Answers?
Is the material you will teach in the expo classes covered in your Islander DVDs?
Let's see. The buttonhole, yes. The 5 Easy Tees t-shirt, we did that in a sew along here. And the shirt making techniques are covered in my Craftsy class on shirt making.
So that answers your question, Sally, because she asked, she said, I have the Craftsy. Is it like that one?
Yes. Yes, only the Craftsy is the whole shirt, plus all kinds of, I mean, that's several hours long, where what we have for the expo is like 4-hour class. And and you're repeating it, so it's really only a 2-hour class because half the time you're sewing. Or with the Craftsy class, I'm sewing the whole time, and you're getting like 5 to 7 hours worth of really good comprehensive information, everything from patterns to seam allowances to choosing the right fabric and the right interfacing, and then into all of the construction from the beginning to the very end. So in other words, the Craftsy class, you get a whole lot more. And we also covered some of the techniques that we'll be doing in this one in our recent sew along on the, what did we do? The Easy Shirt. It's the basic sleeve placket, the cuff, the burritoing the cuff, those kind of things. How to get a really nice looking collar.
All right. Off-topic question from Sophie. Is the method for installing binding for an arm side on a tank top the same as doing the binding for a neck? And then she says, which is not necessary, Sophie, sorry for the simple question.
Oh, that's not such a simple question. And yes and no. So you're going to put the binding on the same way. However, we decrease the amount of, we have negative ease in the band when we put it on the neck because we want it to cup in toward the body. You don't necessarily want to pull in that arm side. Just remember, when you're making a sleeveless top, make sure that you're making a sleeveless top. What do I mean by that? You don't want the same shape or the same size arm side that you have in a short sleeve top. So here's what and the reason I'm saying that is because, again, with so many amateur pattern makers out there, and some of them you would believe are professionals, will do this. They will create a pattern, and it will have a sleeveless version and a sleeved version, but they won't change the arm side. And that's simply inappropriate because the arm side is going to be much lower when you put a sleeve in it. So now if you haven't cut that arm side up a little bit higher, your bra is going to show. It's not going to hang right. So again, be sure.
It's going to look like you cut the sleeves off your shirt.
Exactly. You know those guys that rip the sleeves off the shirt that work on cars? That's what it's going to look like. Not quite that bad. But, so make sure, number one, again, a muslin's always helpful to make sure that arm side is going to sit right. But if it sits right, there's no need to necessarily pull it all in because then you're going to be making that armhole smaller. And if it's small to begin with, you just want to leave that alone. Here we want this to come in and cup to the body. So those are the differences. Otherwise, they're applied the same.
All right. Hopefully that helps, Sophie. Okay, so to summarize, if you need to look at that video on YouTube, it's there. It's the most recent video, or you can find it in the comments of this video. Look at the Sew Expo site if you're interested in taking that class.
Click on the word tickets, and that'll get you started.
Oh, Jillian, today so today has convinced me that I just have to take the plunge and do my muslins.
Yes, Jillian, yes. Yes, you will be so glad you did.
And keep your questions coming. And
Yes.
we will answer as many as we can. I do know that there are some questions that we have that are not easily answered, and we are planning episodes for some of those. So don't think we're ignoring them, but some of them take a little bit more effort to gather demo and supplies and whatnot.
Sure.
So if you have any more questions, keep them coming. You can email them islandersewing@comcast.net or put them in the comments of our videos. Your best bet is the email or even the Facebook Messenger, so we don't get lost in the shuffle, but we would love to hear them.
And Jillian, remember, I'm here to help you with that muslin fitting. So if you will follow the steps of the muslin and then follow the steps of the pictures, I can help you. The reason I'm going to be real, I'm going to put some emphasis on following the directions is because people get excited and they sew the whole thing up and they send me a picture. The picture doesn't give me the picture I need, and they've sewn the whole thing together before fitting. The sleeves should never be in until you've got the entire bodice fit. And so sometimes they'll send me, they have both sleeves in, they've sewed it all up, they haven't even basted it, they've stitched it. Well, don't do that. So follow the directions. You're going to baste it together and you're going to fit it in according to the order that we show you in the video. And if any of that, you have questions about any of that, again, email me. I check my email several times a day, and sometimes I can't answer.
Several times a day you check your email.
What do you think?
Several times a minute?
Okay, so I'm constantly checking my email, and so
I mean, business hours.
if I don't answer your question right away, it's because I either didn't have time or I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she's exaggerating. I'm exaggerating. We'll meet somewhere in the middle. But the point being, email is the best way to get a hold of her.
IslanderSewing@Comcast.net.
Okay, Diane, I am afraid to ask, but tell me your question again. I might have missed it. Although these questions are for Janet, not for me, so she doesn't let me answer questions.
You can answer the next one.
No, she said, I hope you answer my question from last week. It was for you. But I don't remember. I must have missed it. So I apologize. But let me know what it is and maybe I'll answer it.
Now you have to.
All right, so we'll save that for next week. And, well, it hasn't come through.
Are we out of time?
Yes. Maybe
I could
I'll
stay
need to
here all
prepare.
day.
Maybe I'll need to. No, you have to check your email.
Oh, I hope you guys are sewing some fun stuff. I'm doing some home deck projects and I'm enjoying that. But it's all about getting yourself acclimated for something a little bit different. You know, there's different techniques and the whole fun thing about making the pillows so they don't have dog ears. I had to kind of refresh my brain on that. And, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. Home deck.
Well, you'll have to post a picture when you finish.
Okay.
And don't forget to post pictures of anything that you make using our patterns, fabric, or techniques. Because
Yes.
we'd love to see them and our community would love to see them. So you can post that right on our Facebook page.
And you know, there's a really great picture on there. It's like one of the first three. And it is a red Irish coat. An Irish coat was one of my very first patterns. I think it was one of the third or fourth pattern that I put out. And it was because it was such a popular coat in my ready-to-wear line. And we always made them out of wool Melton. And the reason I'm telling you this is because the person who posted it made it many, many years ago. And it still looks brand new. And I could tell by the look of it, is red. Red wool Melton. Wool Melton is expensive fabric, and you don't need it if you live in Arizona. But for us up here, it's really nice. It's got a beautiful nap to it, and it just lasts forever and ever. The only thing that can hurt it is a moth. Otherwise, it just keeps on ticking. Yeah, it's a great fabric, but it is a little pricey. So we didn't hear from...
No, we did.
Oh, okay, what is it? Now she's afraid to... What is it?
I don't have an answer.
What's the question?
And maybe that's embarrassing. She says, because we talked about we talked about your history and how you got into this and your family and your passion for sewing, and she wants to know at the end of the day when all is said and done, what is my passion? When I grow up, I want to be, I don't, do you have to have a passion?
I think right now your passion is your children. And, yeah.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Diane, that I don't have a better answer for you. I could make one up, but that seems...
Well, you're really involved in the kids' school and the community, and you still do your crafts and your sewing, but she kind of spreads it out more evenly.
Yeah.
Where mine is sewing.
I'm a helper.
Oh, you're in charge of stuff too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I like to help. Like,
Yeah, be a part.
like I help at the school. I help in the community. I help, but I don't know if that qualifies for passion. But
Yeah.
maybe if I come up with one, I'll let you know.
Okay.
If something strikes me, who knows? I could be driving home today. And...
As far as sewing, I think your Halloween costumes
Yeah.
has been your biggest one. But her Halloween costumes aren't like slapped together the couple hours before.
Yeah.
Hers are detailed for the kids.
Is the pattern still available? Yes, for the Irish coat. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Where can you buy wool Melton?
Well, I don't know where you live. However, there is, what the heck? Jomar is where I got the best deal on wool Melton, and they're in Philadelphia. I think they have a couple of stores, and I went to their big warehouse, which is in a not a nice neighborhood. And I've been in a lot of not nice neighborhoods in Detroit. This one was worse. Once you got into their parking lot, which was gated with concertina wire on the top, the warehouse was fabulous. But they had wool Melton at really reasonable prices. They must have an outlet. And the reason is that they're a jobber. And so chances are they're buying from some of the better coat making companies, manufacturers. And so they get the overruns of 500 yards of this wool and 500 yards of that one. So that's one place I know that you can get it. But you could always Google it.
All right, Josie, I'm putting the link to the pattern. We have apparently found something you don't own. Right after Josie says, I own all your stuff.
Irish coat.
We find that she does not yet have the Irish coat.
Well, what's cool about the Irish coat is it's a great car coat. And the whole thing overlaps. So it keeps you nice and warm, but there's only 2 buttons on the shoulder. And it's really loose fitting with a big wide cut-on sleeve. So you can put it over a sweater or a sweatsuit.
I mean,
or
that
whatever.
is one. I mean, it looks nice on everybody. But that is one of the huge selling points for that, especially if you live in a colder climate. Because I know getting dressed, sometimes even in the morning, I have to think about what I'm putting on, where I'm going, what I'm doing, because I don't like to have like a big sweater or a big sweatshirt. It seems so cozy to be wearing that in the winter until you have to put your coat on and you're like,
then you're like the kid in a snowsuit who can't move.
I can't get up. I can't get up.
I think that's what attracted me to that coat in the first place, and I started making it. We've color blocked it. Remember the years we color blocked it?
That's on the cover.
Yeah.
There's a color block.
But we sold these
Thank
for
you, Mary.
many, many years, and it's a classic design, so it's never going to go out of style. It's just real clean and simple. But the other good thing about it is there's no fitting involved. So it's really loose, and a lot of people who think they wear a large actually wear the medium. So be careful on that. There's a lot of ease in there. Okay. So
we made it. We'll be back next week. Send us your
hope.
questions.
We're not snowed in.
Oh gosh. And we will see you then.
Thanks for joining us on Tuesdays at 2 here at Islander Sewing Systems. We enjoy having you here and sharing our expertise and knowledge and lots of fun little stuff. So thank you so much for being a part of our Tuesdays at 2. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Have a great week, everybody.